The emergency klaxon echoed through the medical bay of Station Kepler 7, its shrill cry cutting through the usual hum of alien conversations. Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her datapad, her experienced eyes immediately scanning the triage display. What she saw there made her blood run cold. Zephyrian female, critical condition, the automated system announced in its sterile voice. Reproductive blockage detected. Immediate surgical intervention required. Sarah's hands moved before her. Mind fully processed the implications. She had been the chief medical officer on this joint species station for 3 years. But she had never dealt with a Zephyrian medical emergency of this nature. The tall, crystalline beings were notoriously private about their reproductive anatomy, considering it sacred and untouchable by outsiders. The medical bay doors hissed open, and the emergency team rushed in carrying the patient on an anti-grav stretcher. Sarah's breath caught as she recognized the Zephyrian, Ambassador Kethara, one of the most respected diplomats in this sector of space. Her normally radiant crystal skin had dulled to a sickly gray, and her breathing came in sharp, painful gasps. "What's the situation?" Sarah demanded, moving alongside the stretcher. "Complete blockage of her primary reproductive channel," reported Dr. Vex, the station's Altarian physician. His 4 arms gestured helplessly. "The crystal formations have grown inward. Without immediate intervention, she'll die within the hour." Sarah felt the weight of a dozen alien eyes upon her. The Zephyrian medical team stood frozen at the edge of the room, their translator devices buzzing with urgent whispers. She caught fragments of their conversation through the universal translator. "Forbidden for outsiders. Sacred anatomy. Better to die with honor." "Dr. Chen." Ambassador Kathara's voice was barely a whisper, her words coming through the translator with obvious pain. I understand the impossibility of this situation. My people's laws are clear. No non-Zephyrian may—" "Laws don't mean much to me when a patient is dying," Sarah interrupted, her voice firm but gentle. She turned to the Zephyrian medical team. "I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. Full anatomical scans, surgical approach options, everything." The lead Zephyrian physician, Dr. Heltana, stepped forward, her crystalline features rigid with conflict. "Dr. Chen, you do not understand. What you ask is, it would make you taboo among my people. You would never be welcome in Zephyrian space again. And I cannot assist in this desecration." Sarah looked at the monitors showing Kethara's vital signs, all declining rapidly. She thought of her oath, the promise she had made when she first picked up a medical scanner. The species didn't matter. The politics didn't matter. The social taboos didn't matter. What mattered was the life slipping away on the table before her. "Then don't assist," Sarah said quietly. "But don't stop me either." The room fell silent except for the increasingly erratic beeping of the monitors. Sarah moved to the surgical station, her hands steady as she began the sterilization procedure. She had studied Zephyrian anatomy in medical school, but only in theory. Their reproductive systems were more complex than most species, a delicate network of crystal channels that could grow and shift throughout their lives. "Dr. Chen," Kethara whispered, "why would you risk this? The consequences for you." Sarah paused in her preparation, looking down at the ambassador. "On Earth, we have a saying, first, do no harm. That includes doing no harm through inaction." She resumed her work, activating the surgical field. "Besides, humans have never been very good at following rules when lives are at stake." As Sarah began the procedure, she was acutely aware of every eye in the room watching her every move. The surgery was unlike anything she had performed before. The crystalline structures required precise harmonic frequencies to cut without shattering, and the regrowth patterns had to be guided with electromagnetic fields. 2 hours into the surgery, Sarah's hands cramped from the delicate work. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the cool temperature of the surgical suite. The blockage was more severe than the scans had indicated. The crystal growth had created a complex maze that threatened to collapse if she made one wrong move. Vital. Signs stabilizing, announced the medical AI, and Sarah allowed herself a moment of cautious optimism. It took another hour, but finally the last of the blockage cleared. The monitors showed normal flow patterns resuming, and Cathara's skin began to regain its natural luminescence. Sarah stepped back from the table, exhaustion weighing on her shoulders. The silence in the room stretched until Cathara spoke, her voice stronger now. "Dr. Chen, what you have done, I have no words." Dr. Heltana approached the table, her scanner confirming the successful surgery. For a long moment, she stared at the readings, then at Sarah. "This should not have been possible," she said finally. "Our most skilled surgeons have attempted similar procedures and failed. How did you—" Sarah removed her surgical gloves, considering her answer. "Maybe it's because I don't see taboos when I look at a patient. I just see someone who needs help." She met the Zephyrian doctor's crystalline gaze. "We humans have a stubborn streak when it comes to the impossible." 3 days later, as Ambassador Cathara prepared to return to Zephyrian space, she found Sarah in her office reviewing medical journals. "Dr. Chen," the ambassador said formally, then paused. "Sarah." Her use of the human's first name was significant, a gesture of deep respect among Zephyrians. "The High Council has reached a decision regarding your intervention." Sarah looked up, prepared for the worst. She had saved a life, but she had also violated one of the most sacred laws of an entire civilization. "You are hereby granted the status of Kethmira, Sacred Healer," Cathara continued. "It is a title that has never been given to a non-Zephyrian. You will be welcome in our space always, and our medical knowledge will be shared with you freely." Sarah sat back in her chair, stunned. I don't know what to say." "Say that you will continue to be who you are," Cathara replied. "The galaxy needs more beings who see patients before protocols, who choose compassion over convenience." She paused at the doorway. "We have much to learn from humanity's willingness to risk everything for others." As the ambassador left, Sarah turned back to her medical journals, but her mind wandered to the stars beyond the station's viewport. Somewhere out there, other lives hung in the balance, waiting for someone stubborn enough to ignore the impossible and skilled enough to make it possible. She smiled and returned to her reading. After all, there was always more to learn, more lives to save, and more barriers to break down, one patient at a time.